Wow, I'm having a crazy day. Crazy couple of days. Woo. Best flare ever, I suppose. I just got back from treasure hunting online and I picked up something amazing. Um, but I will probably list that on my Etsy store later and link to my Etsy store, but um, that's not what I want to talk about today at all. I just am streaming on the fly, when I can, because I have a debilitating chronic pain disorder called myofascial pain syndrome. And I'm on drugs for it, and I'm on cannabis for my chronic fatigue. And if it weren't for that, I would not be able to do this, honestly. Right now, I would have to be lying down, and I would be completely zoned out, and I would have to just zone out and try to relax as hard as I can for at least an hour. And then I might be able to function a little bit better later. Like, it's rough. Having the pain and then the fatigue with it is just, it's nonsensical. So I'm really fortunate, though, that I have treatment and medicine that works for me. Um, I don't like sell drugs or anything on here. That's definitely not happening, but you know, there's CBD around if you want to look into it. I would say go to your local CBD retailer and talk to people who are selling this stuff because they will tell you what to use it for, and also if, you think you qualify for a medical program in your state as far as cannabis. Jordan, I think, should be looking into cannabis, and he believes it's stupid or whatever, but maybe not so much. It's definitely not going to hurt him like the benzos freaking hurt him. So maybe it's worth looking into, Jordan. It's definitely safer. Like, why does it have such a horrible reputation? It's, I don't even, I'm sorry. No, no, don't, no shame. I have been giddy all day running my errand, and now I'm just like gonna freak out and laugh about the stuff I think about all the time, which is, of course, Antifa and the Klan and counterterrorism and Jordan Peterson and defamation of character and a lot of things that are wrong in my life. I hate to be the one. But this is my reality, This is my reality. I actually think it's amazing. I found out about this TikToker who was scaring like normies on with their, like, there's this like sort of compound or commune or whatever in Tennessee of like anarchists, and they started messing with people's heads on TikTok, and like people started coming there because they have an open door policy. Anyway, I don't want to get into it. I don't really want to bring like a whole lot of attention to that, but because I don't really want people taking advantage of them and them having to like change their rules, upon realizing that like exposing their community on the internet to pieces of garbage that will make money off of like propaganda or whatever is the reality. Like, that's it's really hard to deal with sometimes. When like you're just trying to have a community that is available to society at large in its own special way. So, people have to take into account, that yes, the internet's dangerous, and anarchists really seem to be like a welcoming bunch. For the most part, like, if you're clearly dependent on that for your survival, for your lifestyle, There's a lot of generosity in the network. I think like real generosity in the network when it comes to people like opening their homes to other people that they've never met before. And despite this being like it's one of its strengths, because people can literally travel around the country and crash or find people, despite that, it's like it creates a kind of paranoia or reason, I guess, for people who are already paranoid to rationalize it, but they're just, they're not necessarily going to be able to shake a feeling that it's infiltratable. And it is infiltratable in that way, but it's also like there's so much involvement in actually participating in it that people who aren't real, like, stick out like sore thumbs. But it's also that a lot of these people don't know how to really recognize and or deal with behavior in the network, so they don't necessarily know what the hell they're talking about when they punish someone. And that's a reality. That's a real problem. People not knowing the situation, that just, people jumping to conclusions. Anarchists, there's definitely anarchists who will sort of like strictly abide by what they think they should do because of a contract. Like, contracts are actually a lot stronger to them, than I think they ought to be sometimes. Like, when people are on a lease together, even if they claim to be anarchists, it's like everything goes out the fucking window, basically. Unless they are like super genuine and like actually smart about what they're doing, like why they're doing it. Otherwise, it's just like, what? I'm not saying they should let people squat their homes, like their living rooms necessarily, but like, if somebody's paying rent for a room, even though they're not on a lease, there should be some rights recognized in the home for those people, and they shouldn't just be tossed out over trivial things. And especially if somebody clearly has some kind of messed up attitude, like if there's a racist attitude involved and it's basically the wrath of that person who's, trying to cut someone out of housing, like over something they did, like that could honestly be worked through and seen as a mistake. There's no need to overreact and like dehouse people. But let me tell you, it will happen. Like, I'm trying to give people, I guess, advice who are younger and are trying to think that now, because older people like me are just piles of garbage, which we're not, but a lot of us are. Like, it's true. Okay, it's really true. It's, but it's not like the younger people are going to be that much better. They just are better connected, I feel like. And it's definitely easier today because of cancel and woke and even Antifa getting positive feedback from the press and society, that it's like, if you're a victim of something or you're complaining about, someone doing something, even if you don't get it, it's a double-edged sword, but it's like, even if you don't get it, it's going to be a lot easier for you to complain and for people to empathize with you, even if you're totally wrong about what you saw. So that to me is like, like, I'm grateful, but even if younger people are ungrateful to older people like me who needed it to be this way a long time ago, like, and have really tried to hold on to how useful it is. I mean, I'm trying here, I'm like, it's really being assailed, this whole idea that people can complain and be heard. And I think we need to start talking about defamation It's ruining my life. So, I'm not saying we should start using defamation. We need to start paying it more attention to it. And I think creating more direct action and motivating towards more direct action against defamation. And I'm saying that because I'm dealing with so much defamation that my life is destroyed. And that's not, I should have said it sooner. I'm not exaggerating, you know. I should have been telling people this. I mean, I sort of was when I was like doing sex work on Long Island, but nobody cares. So, on the internet or whatever. It's just, I didn't necessarily know how to start like streaming back then or whatever. And I was not playing games. So streaming just wasn't, if you weren't into gaming, streaming just wasn't like whatever back then. But even just creating videos just seems so, just the idea of putting myself on the internet talking about these problems I was having, it just seems so gross to me. Like, for some reason, like I was disgusted with my whole situation. And honestly, I was doing things that I could do online, like on Twitter mostly back then, like just sort of trying to figure out, this was like when Mike Brown got shot. It was just like, I'm trying to figure out what it is about all of this right now, because this is erupting, Black Lives Matter is erupting, it's like, what is my point in life? Like, what have I done? I knew I had to get this racist guy that was working at the hotel I was living at fired. I'm not sure if I did or not, but I tried. He would say the N-word incessantly. He was a tall, like, Mexican dude. And not the last person you would suspect of being that alt-right, like that, like, excuse me, to me, what alt-right in the broader sense meant was this guy, this, like, not edgelord or whatever. And I'm not into like any of the stupid theory. I'm not into any of the theory that isn't real theory. Honestly. So don't assume that I believe any of that stuff that like people are telling everybody to believe or whatever because a feminist said it, or this is what we tell children now, or whatever you believe that is. I'm not into any of that stuff. So what I'm saying is, though, I want people to understand. I don't want to be taken for something I'm not, and that's already happening for defamation. And it's really messed up. Like, to be accused of lying by everyone in my family, and I'm not, and it's different stuff. It's like all these things, and everybody's accusing me of lying about something I'm telling the truth about, maybe because I did something bad one time that was like completely unrelated. Like, I was a very good teenager comparatively. Seriously, I was. And like, they would rather it seem that they can't believe anything I say ever, which is just insane. Like, okay, like, I've told white lies before. Like, I've done stupid things, but it wasn't like a constant ongoing thing, you know what I mean, where it was creating like problems. I didn't create like really big issues at all. I was getting good grades in school and getting through school, and I don't know what the problem was. Nobody will tell me anything. They just want me to be quiet about who I am and my life. And if people don't believe me in the family, I'm just supposed to say, oh, well, like, I guess, I don't know. Maybe they want me to sue them. I don't know. Like, does my mom think this is the only way that we can have a relationship? Like, what does that even mean? Like, why would she think like that? Well, she's a narcissist, I know that. But she can't hide the fact that her father is a Klansman and his wife is perfectly fine with everything that he does. And she doesn't care at all if he murders people or commits arson or rapes someone or wants to enslave people. She's perfectly fine with that. And for me to be called a freaking liar, this is important. Like, why would you not want to know this about your family? This is some Get Out stuff. This is like, wait a minute. This is like my stepsister. They think I'm the daughter from Get Out. This is how warped these people are. They think I'm the daughter from Get Out. But it's like my stepsister is who everyone wanted the daughter to be, which is the innocent girl that they hid the whole shenanigans from. Like basically the unassuming, innocent golden child who they don't want to interfere with, interrupt, or destroy the life of. Okay? Literally. Like, that's the golden child. And we wanted at least that, for one of those characters, and then she turned out to be so awesome at being evil that how could we want anything else? Yeah, because, I love sickening displays of narcissism and evil in visual storytelling, but yeah, I really do. I'm not a narcissist at all. Like, people who are on this gossip train about me should honestly be blocked. I'm serious. I have been defamed out of society. I'm lucky that my roommate doesn't make me perform sexual favors for him, and that I don't have to do that to keep a roof over my head right now. I am so grateful and lucky that that's my situation right now. Of course, I think it would have been different if anarchists had gotten their stuff, together 20 years ago and realized we have to stand up to these bastards in our community or whatever. I don't think they've even really accomplished that yet. And some people received some bad takes. For sure. And maybe they would have been great, or comrades or organizers or whatever. Whatever you have to tell yourself, But I don't believe that anybody here is in the network is a real revolutionary. I've never believed that. Like, not even close. No. And I'm being honest. There are people who know me, and I have never been like this revo poser or whatever. It just isn't my thing. Ever. I think it made some people uncomfortable. I'll be honest with you. And then they, it's like there are people who they're just sort of suspicious, or they're building on a feeling, or it starts to add up until it's just there's so much they can't explain and don't really have an answer for about another person because they're ignorant AF. And eventually it's just too many things that they see, but they don't really understand what they're seeing, and that's it. They're done. And they either, walk away or break up with you, or I don't know, maybe they're going to cancel you. But look, there are mentally ill people in the community, in the anarchist network. There are a lot of people with borderline personality disorder. There are a lot of alcoholics and addicts, tons of them. There's a lot of domestic abuse. There's a lot of good people, don't get me wrong. But even the good people tend to want to drink a lot. Okay? So it's hard, if that's not your thing. And if you're trying to be a more smart, I guess, political, or you came from like a nice middle class background and discovered it in college, anarchist or whatever, yeah, that's not the reality. Like the reality that I feel like a lot of these career-oriented organizers or whatever and content creator organizer types are aiming for is like it's just something so freaking far removed from where most of the anarchists actually are. Like a lot of them wind up just trying to do what they can do for themselves, anarchists, but not like on YouTube. You know what I mean? I'm doing this on YouTube, like I tried to say before, and I think I'll just keep reiterating what I do because this is what I do. This is my life. Like, I'm doing this because I feel the demand is real for someone to say what I'm saying, for someone to say, enough. My family are real white supremacists. I don't want to hear these takes against my take about this. Either your family or white, like your grandpa is a Klansman or some kind of real white supremacist, active, believing, philosophizing, politicizing, yet settling and bargaining for the GOP white supremacist, or they're not. Okay? It's not a hint. It's not a microaggression. That's not what it is. No. But when they do it, it's extreme to the people they do it to. And just because somebody feels extreme hostile attribution bias from a microaggression towards them doesn't mean that the person making the microaggression is a freaking white supremacist. Like, get out of here. Please leave. I can't with this anymore. I want to sympathize with people who are marginal. I do. I really do. I hate to be that person that's like, well, I've lived with trans people. No, I lived with people who were very queer. Okay? I'm not going to say they were trans. They kind of, sort of were trying to identify as trans, but the way they explained what it was to me didn't make any sense. Okay? To accuse me of being transphobic when I'm like, look, it's not that I want to disbelieve that you're trans, but like this is BS. Like this crazy, like they really honestly, I'm being honest, like they really didn't have any sort of frame around any sort of identity model. Like they had no idea. Like they didn't understand it. They were reading something vague and ambiguous and thought that it meant they could make it whatever they wanted it to mean. I am serious. And so of course I was like, I don't know what to think, and I'm just telling the truth. But these people were so misogynistic and swerf, like that they were willing to dehouse a sex worker of color in a freaking crisis, like a legitimate life-altering crisis, like the kind of thing that these people's parents would never let them go through, not in a million years. One of them even had a literal trust fund and was getting a check every month and wound up hiding it. And of course I found out anyway, because that's what I do. But I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, her parents are junkies in California, and she was raped by a pimp that she wound up escaping from. He kidnapped her, stole her wallet, stole her ID with her everything that was in her wallet, and she managed to stab him somehow and get away from this crazy motel room like situation that he allegedly did her in. And she just kept going. And I found her after that, and after a whole different rape situation that she went through, trying to survive in New York. And this person got canceled. I'm pro-cancel, but not like this. Not what happened to her. And the friends of these misogynistic swerf bitches are the people who canceled her in California, and the reason she became ostracized from their whole feminist community there and ran to New York. And then she gets dehoused by their friends. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Like, I was supporting her financially and sharing a bed with her at the time, trying to tell them that she could stay there and I would fucking fight them. I am not joking. Oh my God. You have no idea. I don't know why. I just keep finding this stuff, you know, like in life or whatever. And now I'm okay. You know, I'm 39. I barely know how old I am. I forget it sometimes. It happens. Like, I forget my age. I've told multiple people I was the wrong age before, like, without even realizing. And my roommate knows that. He witnessed it pretty hard. And was like, he had to tell me how old I was one time because I was, like, really clearly convinced that I was a year older, actually, than I was. And yeah, that was pretty wild, but like, I'm traumatized, and yet I will not just ignore anything in front of me necessarily, it depends. It really depends. And I'm not trying to justify not reacting. I'm not. But, like, when people who screw very vulnerable people in a crisis, people who need real help they need everyone to help, everyone they encounter needs to be helping this person. When you screw somebody like that, and your daddy is paying your student debt, and or for your bougie art school, and or you have, knowledge that you're going to inherit something pension because of something white privilege grandpa, and you're hiding a trust fund and sort of like feeding Cheetos to your morbidly obese African American friend every night and buying her cigarettes. Like, what do you want me to think about you? Because just tell me straight up and confront yourselves. Like, y'all are disgusting. You're disgusting. You are disgusting. And you're lucky I don't ID you. But yeah, it was the Bay to Bushwick. Like, the misogynistic, like, it's like transcontinental misogynistic railroad. You know what I mean? It was just gnarly. It was one of the gnarliest, organized, like, narcissistic things that I have ever seen in my life. Like, I wanted to hurt someone so badly. I mean, but what? Like, I beat up this person that's obviously queer, like androgynous, and they start claiming they're a trans person. Get the F out of here. I was going to the trans clinic. I was this close to getting on hormones. This was like trans on trans shit. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, everything's out the door right now. Like, you got to let go of that trans stuff. Because, like, we don't know who's trans right now. Like, it was like that, though. I mean, seriously, they wouldn't do that. They were like, no, somebody has to claim the identity. And I'm like, no, they effing don't. No, they do not. You know, no, they don't. Why would you even want to do that in this situation? Like, so you can prevail at evil? Like, you are sick. You're sick. And then, of course, they didn't want to, like, actually fight a slumlord, which we would have won, like, no... Like, these people have no idea how much free rent we would have gotten. And the lawyer basically told us to stop paying rent and just put our money in escrow. That's exactly what she said. The free lawyer I drove them to in my car. And I paid for parking. And then they just decided, when I went to visit my son for the first time, since he was 2 and he was 14. And I told them, you know, I'm going to see my son. They said they called him a misogynist. I was like, I just need one more reason to dog walk you. You know, like, like, why do you hate women so much? This is how I started talking to them. I would just start talking at them. Like, why do you do this? What is this contest you're trying to win? And it's not about being competitive. You're evil. You're not competitive. You're insane. You know, like, you're a creepy ass misogynist, probably on the wrong drugs, because whatever it is you have, like, you can't be medicated, or they're just figuring it out. Like, that's exactly what I said to the head of this little clique. There were, what, 4 of them? Yeah, 4 of them. And plus a couple that didn't live in the house. Anyway, they tried to, like, extort money from me by telling me that if I didn't give them the money, as if I was putting it in escrow for rent, and instead it goes into the ringleader's bank account, which is not an escrow account. It wasn't ever going to be an escrow account. But if I don't just pay them rent, I'm out of the community. They were trying to straight up slumlord me after I took them to see a housing lawyer at the Brooklyn Housing Court. And she said, stop paying rent. Put your rent in an escrow account. I was... This is the house that I became a savant. I found the app, and I was sitting up in bed. And I just did it. I was just trying to chill out. And so... It's scary. I don't want to have, like, a I don't want to be scared of it, but it's like I have to. It's not about pressure. I have to. When I think about it, I have no good memories at all of this, except for doing it and realizing it myself. And my son asks about it. I'm really thankful that he likes it. So, yeah, I just don't think we should let them get away with defaming us. There's a lot of people out there who are trying to claim things. I'm not talking about trans stuff right now. It's more about antifa, but like, they're trying to claim things and use labels, and yeah, there's real sociopathic individuals out there for sure. I mean, whether it's luck, it's not all luck or whatever, but people like me understand that individuals like that doing harm, and it's not about harm reduction necessarily, but it's about like those people are nefarious. They are nefarious. They are not in the community for the community. No, they're in the community and they feel entitled to it. And like they don't really need it. And then they're not going to live a lifestyle that's conducive to being in a supportive community. So why are they here? I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to be like that, even towards people that are going to be like, I get to pull my trans card out. And I'm like, no, you don't. You swerve transphobe. Like, no, you don't. You're also some kind of weird extortionist and a misogynist. Absolutely, you do not get to pull a trans card. Of course, there are going to be these weird, like, if this were on Twitter, there'd be sort of like weird ass stands or whatever for like, just like any trans person. It's like, I'm going to stand by that person. Trans people. It's like, okay, like, I guess if you just don't care who someone is, whatever, but like, I don't like it when people pretend. And I can understand meeting people where they are 100%, but not if these people think that they're just going to expect me to forget our relationship as if it either never happened or was completely different. like my mom wants, and my stepdad for sure. That's like they want me to create this whole like fictional world that like doesn't exist. But it's like, oh, it's the relationship I made up with my parents. I'm supposed to actually produce this stuff though. Like if I want a relationship with them, it's like I have to come up with something, and act like that's okay and moral. It's not. Stop pretending. This is morally complex. It's not a matter of there's one moral and it's in the hierarchy. It's like I understand people are sort of debased in this way, where their parents are going to be influential on them and their morals. And if their parents are asking them to do immoral things, it's going to be hard for them to get away from that and walk away from that. If that's basically a requisite of being in the family, it's going to be hard. Most people aren't going to leave their families. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell people. I don't think there's a litmus test for like a good white ally or whatever. But I know that the people who treat me like garbage cannot hold a candle to me. And I'm not a narcissist. That's the truth. That is the truth. I cannot, this is my life. Like, I cannot get away from it, And right now, it seems like I'm just living high on the hog with white privilege or whatever. I know that it seems like that to people who are out there or whatever. I don't have time for that, honestly. Like, I'm doing other things, and I'm not a high school teacher, okay? Like, I'm not the person that they need me to be. I'm not gonna be the person who needs to teach everyone on the fly every single thing they need to learn on their own, If you have to be told to read books in order to read books, you need to start reading books. And I don't just mean books. Like, if you really want to learn about society, learn about sociology. And I don't mean just one book. You can do this. There's a lot of stuff on the internet. There's even free journal access on the internet to some articles, journals and articles, and there's actually quite a bit. So you can get started, instead of looking like a fool. If you really want to, but so many people in the content sphere don't know what they're talking about, that it's just acceptable. It's acceptable to think that you can be really, really misinformed, uninformed, bad take city or whatever, and you can still make it and become a millionaire on the internet in this day and age, because why not? Why the F not? No one cares if you make sense. They just have to keep you going in the background, right? That's like, what? That's the secret to Fox News nobody talks about. That a bunch of old people just played in the background. It's true. It's like Fox News just plays in every nursing home. Or like in every, in every office of some kind. It's weird. It's true though. like people who are concerned about big events. Think about it. People who are concerned about news and events happening and being informed in case something happens. And I know I sound like a Fox News commercial, but this is exactly why people play Fox News in the background, which is a ton of the hours that get their airtime. Okay, I'm telling you. People just play it in the background. Like, it's just on, I don't think necessarily so many people are being radicalized, is what I'm saying. But there's a lot. There's a lot. It's just, it's really spread out. Relatively, it's not a lot. And I hate to be the one, but not all extremists are violent. That's a thing. Counter-terrorists are funny. But I don't, not really. But I don't care. Like, I don't really want to talk about that right now. I do that because, I don't know what else to do with myself. This is just something I'm just sort of like putting labels on the stuff I do anyway. Like the stuff that I just do and I'm not going to stop doing, and I don't tell people I'm really doing. I don't want people telling me what to do when it comes to doing this stuff at all. And I don't listen to anyone. Although I do listen, I just have to figure out, like, if I cross a line, I don't think I'm going to cross any lines as far as like my stuff and what I'm looking for. Hate to be the one. I don't think that way. I'm not scared of feds coming after me or whatever, as far as me being involved with what I consider Antifa and calling myself a counter-terrorist, because I literally stop terrorists. Like, it's fine. I just have to deal with my personal life at the moment, and I'm dealing with it. I'm trying not to be this, like, militarized person or whatever I was raised as, and it's hard for people to disassociate that from, like, how they see me or perceive me. They don't know what they're looking at, they and people who keep wanting to make it about, I don't know, environment in the wrong ways. I don't want to talk to those people. I have no time for those people at all. I don't want. Stay away. Not for me, and if that's everybody, and if I can never be, I'm willing to face never being successful in content on here as a streamer or anything. I just have to put this out there. If the world wants to treat me the way my parents treat me, if they think that's what I deserve, because they already have this preconceived notion that parents unconditionally love their children and they're never wrong about a bad child or whatever, then they're going to see me that way, and it's wrong, and I can't necessarily do anything about that. But as far as, me being accused of lying about things that are absolutely true about my family, especially about my family, and about people trying to hide who people who are still living even are, like, no. This has been going on for a long time. For a really long time. Almost 30 years. I can't do this. I can't. And I can't just ignore the fact that George Soros should sue Fox News. And I mean that. And he seems like maybe he'd be undefamable or whatever, punching down. But they're accusing him of funding terrorists. And Antifa aren't terrorists. That's how they're accusing him. It's like, first of all, what terrorists are you talking about that have received his funds, and you think they're terrorists, but they're not really terrorists anyway? So you've made up, and you want, like, they don't even know what a straw man is anymore, but it's like, you've basically lied about the people that you're now claiming he's giving money to. It's deducible. You're claiming he funds terrorism. That's a serious federal crime, y'all. I've been saying this for a while. It just, for whatever reason, people need to catch on better. They need to, I don't know, actually be more inclined to beating these people in every way possible, especially litigiously. Like, Fox News, beating Fox News at litigation is the holy grail, people. Like, you have to understand, it is the holy grail. I don't think it's impossible. And I honestly think that Karen McDougal didn't just disappear or whatever. I think that somebody paid her off under the table, out of the limelight, because they knew what they did was wrong, and they knew they would lose on appeal. And they wanted to take care of something. If Tucker paid her out of pocket, that explains why he now gets Tucker Universe at their brands. Excuse me. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to name drop his shows or anything, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, that didn't just fall out of the sky. All these new Tucker in the morning jerk off with Tucker shows or whatever. It's like, I'm not trying to jerk shame, but let's be real. He's making stuff up left and right. Um, I just don't think that they rewarded him for the outcome of that, like it appeared, as far as the timing. And I definitely think that they are orchestrating every single freaking move that they make that is public. And they want it to be something that not everybody can necessarily see. And they want people to be sort of shielded from some kind of reality that they can use in defense of themselves. When they get accused of like dog whistling white supremacists, for instance. Oh, well, I paid off, McDougal. It's like, yeah, Tucker. Okay, so that means you're joking. When? Like, it's just nonsensical. But you got to see these things, you got to like see these not just see these possibilities, but you have to see these possibilities as probable. Like, to me, her just disappearing like that is suspect in and of itself. But I pay attention to things, and I also listen to people. And I just do things that other people don't do. I mean, I'm not sorry, but I don't know what to tell everyone. Like, I can't revolution with people who can't revolution. And I've never been that faux pretend LARPy costume, like, revolutionary. But I've seen a lot of those people. And I know their song and dance, literally. But it's cool, if that's what people need to do or whatever, to feel like anarchists, I guess. Maybe they just need to like try to apply something to reality, because a lot of them don't do it. It can be about their survival or whatever, but they only get to be so uncomfortable. And we're not talking about everybody making sacrifices, but some of them have, and some of them have had really hard lives, and they may not be the best white allies, but they've still had hard times, like bad, it's, I remember I used to just be blown away when I would meet somebody that had like a hard life, but they were like an anarchist and they were like saying something, and it used to just blow me away so bad. Like, I was completely awestruck by people who chose to un-F themselves in ways because they had eye-opening lives, their whole lives. It's like, your whole life, you've never known anything but this sort of like devastation that 99.9% of humans that you're ever going to encounter, will never relate to, because it's just, and so you just want to get away. You don't really want to be in society out there doing what people do. And I completely understand that. I completely understand just wanting to get away. Never go to school and like start a farm and just F off, and make money at a farmer's market. Maybe sell some mushrooms and microgreens too, who knows? But it's, I can't, with my physical conditions, I can't necessarily just up and do stuff. And I don't want to be blamed, full stop. I don't want to be blamed by people. And there's a tendency of even some anarchists to blame me, especially me. They don't necessarily do it to other people. And the people they do it to, if they're dudes, they're not doing it enough to, and they're too scared. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of real fear. When people, I think, become anarchists, they have to be told, like, you're going to fear the men. You're going to be totally terrified of men when they show aggression or anger or negative emotion. You're going to be you're going to be paralyzed with fear. And those guys are going to completely take advantage of you, and you're going to encounter it. You will encounter it. And you're going to think, oh no, not, that was that group of anarchists that are like this, something pejorative. Oh, these guys over here, they seem cool. Nope, there's going to be one over there too. And those people who like the exact same music as you, yep, there's at least one over there too, and they will be there. They will infiltrate and they will hurt you. And they are misogynists. And they are everywhere. Okay, this is not like it's like an ubiquitous thing, guys. This is not like a special, like go to Fox News where every other guy is this guy. You know what I mean? Every guy Roger Ailes hired is this guy except for Chris Wallace. So, hey, it's not a left or a right thing or whatever. Don't be silly. So, I gotta go. I'm gonna cry some more probably. I've been crying all morning anyway. I cried all the way while I was running my errand. I just said F it and opened up the sunroof and cried. Like it was such a gorgeous day. I was just driving and crying and trying to enjoy it, honestly. That's literally what my morning was like. I was sort of bawling it out and at the same time like just like relaxing, and I can't like emulate it. I can't like repeat that because it's too real. Like I cannot recreate it. Like I sort of can make fun of it or whatever because I think it's hilarious now, but and I'm not trying to be mean to myself. I'm not. But I am realistic. I'm not perfect. And like narcissistic women don't like seeing women be non-narcissistic like that. They hate it. They will attack. You have no idea. They will attack me. Even if they're my friend and they're like a borderline personality or like my granny, they'll flip out. It's like, stop flipping out. But yeah, if you have borderline personality, I love you and care about you. I don't have it, but my granny did have it. And I've had many friends who've had it and probably been flipped out on too many times to care. But I will say this, you can get through, you can get over it. You can. You gotta figure that out. You gotta find those people, those therapists. You gotta find them and tell them you're borderline and you're trying to get out of it. You want to get over it. You want to get help because you really, I know you're suffering, I know that too, and you can't help it. I sort of want to say the same thing to my mom because I know she has narcissistic personality disorder. But she needs to get real. We're not friends. She reminded me of that too many times. So yeah, mommy, if you want to be the mother, you're going to have to start thinking about our legal relationship here because you can't do this to me anymore. You can't let them think I'm lying about your father and your mother. What are you doing, Susan? What are you doing? You've ruined my life enough. Enough. It's more than enough. I've given more than enough to this family, Susan. You can go to hell. Okay? Go to hell. You will stop. You will stop lying. I don't think anybody can make you say the words. But you cannot lie about it anymore. You can't pretend, Susan. You have to stop pretending that they are not what they are. You exposed me to it and you pretended whatever you pretended about me while I was gone and had nothing to do with what you were saying about me. I have no idea who my family thinks I am, Susan, because you are acting on my behalf without my consent. You can't do this anymore. Like, when, people see how much sense I actually make, it's so amazing. When people finally get it, like, oh my God, like, oh, wait, her parents did what? And then she became a genius and they still didn't care about her, because she didn't give them her son. Like, please get the F out of here, Susan. You have no leg to stand on. Okay? Like, you don't love me at all whatsoever. Stop acting like you do to my sister, who you are clearly defaming me to. I am saying that your father is a Klansman on the internet because he is. He might even be dead now. Nobody tells me when anybody in the family freaking dies. Nobody calls me. You know? My mother left me for dead, basically, so that I would have to rely on her Klansman parents if I needed money or financial assistance or anything as far as a family. And she pretended to my stepsister that that's not what they are. And she thinks I'm lying. I lived with those people for 6 months. Like, go to hell. Like, I went there. Okay, I went there. Yeah, they're my family, you know. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to rationalize it. It is. Like, I'm aware of the white supremacy in my family. I'm aware of it. You know, I'm not fine with it at all. How do I have to act a particular way when I'm around them? Yes. Or do I? I don't know. It's very confusing and very scary. I'm just going by whatever I'm trying to, you know, the information I have and I'm gathering all the time when I'm around them. That's what it's like. It's just like, I give off something that in that situation to them means I'm interested or curious about them, but it's horrifying and devastating. And I want to see it. And I don't know how to explain that to people. Because I don't want them to be this way, but I want to see what they are. And I have seen it. And I don't want anybody to pretend that they're not what they are or that somehow they can make it go away. Because I don't believe that. I'm never going to believe that. I don't care what they say or the fact that the GOP is going to be fine with politicians saying that they are somehow reformed out of white supremacy if they voted for Donald Trump, which is a lie. I will start suing whoever I have to fucking sue if they're going to accuse me of lying about my family. I am not stupid. Ted. Yes, Ted Cruz. I am not fucking stupid. I will sue your balls off. Shut up. Stop talking about white supremacists and whatever you think their relationship to your party is, even though whatever your party is, Ted. Who even knows what you are? Some kind of insurrectionist Trumpite. It's like, if you guys want to out-define yourselves of the GOP because you clearly exhibit everything you claim it cannot be, well, then go right ahead. But how is it not what you're doing if it is your party? You can say it's one thing and do another thing. It actually is the thing that you're doing, not the thing you said that you couldn't do. You know, get over it. Just get over it. People are not this... They're not as stupid as you need them to be. And I'm getting angry. So I want to get off of here. So I'm going to stop for now.